Hi, Mama. So as you prepare for birth, it's nice to have some moves in your back pocket to open up the muscles around your pelvis and to offload that pelvic floor, because there are going to be times when it feels like there's a whole lot of pressure on it as you prepare and get closer and closer to birthday. So grab a big ball or stand near your coffee table, and perhaps you'd like to use a wall for some support, or perhaps your kitchen cabinets would work nicely. And I'd like you to step your feet at least twice as wide as hip distance apart, and then have your feet about a foot or so away from the wall. And before we get into the pose, I want you to point each foot so that the toes are pointing straight forward or slightly inward, okay? So I've got my fingertips on the ball, and I'm just gonna let my hips go backward in space and let my hands, elbows, and head come down to this ball. I'm not touching the wall yet with my rear end, just so you can see that you don't need a wall. But if you have a wall, it can feel really juicy and nice to let that rear end hit it. So you have two different points of support. Actually three. You've got your feet, you've got your arms, you've got your rear end. It can really allow you to sink better into relaxation, which is going to allow you to open up those hamstrings more so. It's going to allow you to find a little bit more length through that pelvic floor. And it's going to allow you to tap a little bit better into that parasympathetic nervous system, that rest and digest, which is what we need to start prepping for a really great birth experience. So let's take 3 slow, deep breaths. Last one. And now I'd like you to look up, and I'd like you to heel toe your feet out just a little bit wider. And again, your bum can stay connected to the wall, or you can shift forward in space, whichever is right for you. But I'm going to take my hands to the ball, bring my elbows out a little bit to the side, and I'm going to start shifting my weight from one leg to the other. Just gently working on opening up the inner thigh muscles of one leg at a time. So your inner thigh muscles naturally start to release just a tad during pregnancy as your body preps for labor. But some of us just have tight inner thigh muscles, and they feel like they could use a little bit more stretching to help you feel more comfortable. So just gently glide yourself back and forth. Maybe you linger for an extra long breath on one side. Let your head hang a bit, perhaps. And then come right back to the center. Let's heel toe those feet in and take them in almost hip distance. So I'm probably 1.5 times the width of my hip here. So there should be enough room for your belly to feel comfortable. If you go much less than hip distance, usually it does not. And I'm going to let my rear end hit the wall again. My toes are pointing forward or very slightly inward. And again, I'm going to let myself come down to be supported by this ball. So here, the focus is a lot more so on those hamstrings, but you may notice that there's a little bit of a lengthening feeling around your tailbone and your sits bones. So now that we're in more of a hip flexion position instead of hip abduction and external rotation, there's a little bit more lengthening through that pelvic floor. So we primed it, and now it's ready to be juiced. And again, a couple more breaths, just gently settling in. All right. I hope you found a little bit more ease in your hips today, and good luck preparing for a great birth.